Hi, everyone. Sorry for my voice. I've got allergies, but the show must go on. Welcome back to Mindset Thinking Outside the Box. We're your hosts, Jillian Willie,
Lisa Born in Country.
Eileen Edwards.
and we're talking about affirmations today.
Yeah, I love it. Affirmations. So you guys, the definition of an affirmation is, if you guys want to hear it, is something declared to be true. That is the definition. So if you think about this is what makes our self-image, because it's something declared to be true. So however you speak to yourself, whatever you say to yourself, you are affirming to yourself to be true.
Yeah. And I thought so deeply about affirmations, especially as I've started learning about mindset and this material that we're all studying and all, immersing ourselves in. And I realized how many negative affirmations I was saying to myself all day long. And one that I realized particularly, my house is always a mess. And people would always tell me, well, you've got two small children. Of course, your house is supposed to be a mess, blah, blah, blah. But I don't thrive in that environment. And I always feel chaotic and overwhelmed, which is negative self-talk also. But, in part it's because my environment is so messy. So it dawned on me that I always say, man, I have to clean my kitchen again. Or man, I have to clean, the playroom again or whatever. And I would clean it and then turn around and 5 seconds later, it's messy again. And when I realized that that's what I'm always saying, I realized that's why that's the result that I'm getting. So I'm working on affirming to myself that I live in a clean, tidy environment and that I am a clean and tidy person in hopes that my house will be a reflection of that. And it's starting to. I mean, this week it took a full week for the kitchen to get messy again. So that's better than the same day. So it's happening. But yeah, it is so true.
That's awesome. I'm going to use that affirmation too, because I sure could use it over here.
Me too.
My bathroom is always spotless and clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know everyone has different affirmation practices. But what I do is I have a goal card, and I know we're not getting into goals today, but I have a goal card, and on one side I have my goals, and on the other side I have my affirmations. And I carry it with me all day, every day. And I actually have an alarm on my phone that goes off every couple hours to remind me to look at my goal card. So first thing in the morning, throughout the day, and then right before I go to sleep. And I will say my goals and my affirmations all throughout the day so that I get that constantly spaced repetition, which one of the ways to change to change, your self-image or to change something in your life that you're wanting to affirm. There's two different ways to cement them into your subconscious mind, and one is constantly spaced repetition. So by doing that, I'm working on that constantly spaced repetition. And I also write it every morning. I have a gratitude journal. And one of the spaces on the page that I do every day is for affirmations. So I'm writing them every single day. I'm reading them and saying them to myself all throughout the day. So that's one of my practices. And I'm trying to live as if as well to bring it to me a little bit faster. So I'm working on, if something gets messy, like cleaning it up right away, which with my little toddlers can be challenging at times, but I'm working on that as well. So living as if then I'm already in my mind, I'm already living that way to bring it to me quicker.
And Lisa, didn't you have something to say about self-talk? Um, I'm trying to think of like an explanation of self-talk so that people can understand kind of how that works, and we can talk about reframing it.
Yeah, well, basically just what is, hold on, just reframing and the negative self-talk. Like I do feel that um again, when we tell ourselves negative things all the time, ourselves are going to believe that and we are going to react from that. So we're going to act as if no matter what it is we tell ourselves, just like Jillian was saying, like cleaning her house. And I know for me, this is a funny thing, but for me, honestly, I'm trying to reframe in my mind. Like one of my affirmations is I am a very careful, cautious driver, because literally I crashed our vehicle into our garage like 3 times, maybe 4. So that and because I would always tell myself too, like I'm such a terrible driver. Like I'm nervous driving. I came from a small town to a big city, and forever and ever and ever, I always had nerves about driving. I would be nervous here. And anyway, so I needed to reframe that, right? I have to reframe that. So now it's like I am a very cautious and careful driver. So reframing, it's literally about shifting your perspective. So it's about looking at a situation, thought or feeling from another angle, so you can form a more open, realistic view of the situation. And it's also about just feeling, not just saying.
Yes.
So that's another thing to talk about too, because affirmations won't work if you're just saying the words, but not believing them to be true. So you have to almost visualize to yourself in that situation. Like for me, I picture myself driving cautiously, making sure I look everywhere. I'm confident about it. I feel good when I'm saying it. And honestly, my nerves have gone like down. Probably, I've been doing it now for a few weeks. So they've gone down about 40%, I would say, depending on like what road I'm on, or, if it's like the Deerfoot, which is like a main highway here, freeway.
I think
Yeah,
that
so
connects to what we were saying last week too with gratitude. Um, you have to sometimes reframe things that might be um, perceived as negative or challenging, but then feeling that joy and feeling that um, like that goodness, even if um, you're not quite there yet, trying to get yourself in a frame of, love and joy and gratitude. And then that can help reframe, negative to positive. And another thing that came up for me, I think we were talked about it before, was for some people, because I think depending on who's listening, when we talk about self-talk, we're just talking about it's like the words that are kind of playing in your head subconsciously. Like you don't even know that it's happening. And those oftentimes are the negative ones. Those are the thoughts that they're happening and you don't even know it. They're just running and running and running. Um, and they do affect our lives. They affect the choices that we make, the actions that we do. But then, trying to bring consciousness to that and reframe that into something that's positive so that, we're humans, we're still gonna have self-talk going. It's still gonna be running and running and running. But getting it reframed, I think, is really important.
I love that you said that about it being conscious about what we're thinking too, because I mean, you're not just automatically going to stop having these thoughts. Like reframing your inner dialogue is not ignoring or suppressing your negative self-talk, right? Or trying to deceive yourself of it. It's about acknowledging the words of your inner critic, but consciously choosing to believe a more supportive narrative, right? One that's led by your inner coach, like your cheerleader. So like, you know, you can catch yourself saying it, but if you're consciously being aware of it, when you do say it, you'll catch yourself and be like, oh, like, I just can't do this. To wait a minute, like, this is a bit challenging for me, right? Like, challenging is very different from I can't. So you're acknowledging that it's not like the easiest thing for you, but you're not telling yourself it's a for sure thing you cannot do. It's something you're saying it can be done. It's just going to be a little more work.
Mhm.
So it's also about, you have to reframe your mind and affirm the beliefs you want to take on as your self-image.
Yeah, that is such, I think you both had touched on really good points. I love, Eileen, that you mentioned that the subconscious mind is always running and that's where our thoughts come from. I think a lot, I know I didn't know this before I was studying this material, but your life is run by your subconscious mind. And I'll find myself like, oh, I'm doing great. This affirmation is, I'm doing it every day. I'm saying it every day. I'm starting to believe it. And then I realize that my automatic thought is the opposite of what I'm trying to affirm. I'm like, oh man, and then at least I love what you said about that suggestion, like stop, if you start noticing that that negative talk is coming to the surface, like just stop and reframe it to the positive. We can only focus on one thing at a time, one thought. So if we stop focusing on the negative and start focusing on the positive, then there is no room to think about the negative. So a
Right.
tip that I read in Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz is, if you notice a negative thought coming, just say cancel, and you say it out loud. He says to say it out loud. So you say cancel and then automatically frame it in the positive, um, to kind of help affirm that positive thought.
And I have read, actually in a couple different places, so I don't necessarily say which, but a few different teachers actually have said that we're actually only consciously doing things 5%. 5% of our day.
Wow.
95% of what happens is unconscious. And it's not unconscious, it's not unconscious. It's more like through our subconscious.
You live through your
Yes.
subconscious 95% of the
95%.
time. Wow, did you hear that, guys? 95% of the time we live through our subconscious. So doesn't it make sense to talk to it well?
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. Feed your mind with positivity.
Yeah.
It makes me
Not
think
going to
of
do
that
that naturally,
expert.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Using language like never and always can subconsciously hold you back because you're not giving yourself room for change. You're framing your thoughts as the absolute truth. So how about using words like I can and I will?
I am
I
our
am.
favorite here.
I feel excited about. You guys got to throw emotion into them too, because like I said, you have to feel it to believe it. And like I think Jillian and Eileen, you both had some really good things that you were hitting on about like the time of day to use your affirmations that's best serving to you through your conscious and your subconscious.
Mhm. Yeah, I actually watched a seminar this week actually, which was phenomenal with Dr. Husi. And I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name because I know I will get it wrong. Um, but if you type, like, go to Google, type in Dr. Jussi, his website will come up if you want to do more research on him. But he's an expert in energy medicine and neuroplasticity. Excuse me. And he was saying that frequencies, like the frequencies at which you say your affirmations, affect how quickly they will go into your subconscious mind. So typically when you're having a conversation, like right now, we are in alpha state. So that's just like a neutral state. So when you say your affirmations, they kind of bounce around your mind, which is why it can take such a long time because you're bouncing around. And as you hear them, your mind is like, well, I know I've heard that before, but I don't know where. So like Lisa, you were saying before we were chatting about your what was it that you were saying no, you were just saying, right, that you were at 40% with your driving. Sorry, I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah. I think about 40% that's come down my nervousness of driving.
So, which is wonderful. Um, but I think like it takes longer when we're just in this normal alpha state. But he was saying that when you're in theta state, which is our genius state, the affirmations will go right into your subconscious mind so that they will affirm faster because they're going directly to the place that we're trying to get them to. So theta state is when you're calm. Um, that's like when you're meditating, you go into theta state. When you're sleeping, you go through different states when you're sleeping, theta, delta, but both of them are very deep, relaxed states. Even when you're in the shower, like I know I have a lot of aha moments when I'm in the shower because you're relaxed. So if you say or listen to your affirmations when you're in those states, they will go directly into your subconscious mind. So when you hear them, your mind says, oh, yeah, I know exactly where to recall that information, and they will fuse faster. He was also saying, which was really interesting, and I had never heard this before, and I can't wait to try it, that if you phrase your affirmation as a why question, which he calls them presupposing questions, then they will fuse even faster than a typical like I am statement, which I know a lot of us are familiar with. And he says that it's like the amygdala will produce neuropeptides and will like trick our amygdala because when you ask a question, your mind starts to find the answer. So if I say, I am a millionaire, I have to fuse with that belief. But if I ask myself, why am I a millionaire? Why do I get so much money? Then my mind's going to start searching for the answer and bring it to me faster. And I'm going to fuse with that belief faster. I just thought it's so fascinating.
That is so fascinating and so exciting. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I too have heard spiritual teachers, meditation teachers who talk about that state, that theta delta state, even like just as you're falling asleep or right as you're first waking up, those feelings when you're like kind of a little confused, like, wait, kind of half asleep, kind of half awake, that those are really good times for practices like affirmations or healing and manifestation and things like that. So there's definitely information about that everywhere.
And he also has an app. It's free for iPhone users. If anyone wants to check it out, it's called Haskins Restore. I know I didn't say that right, but that's the phonetics. And it has frequencies for different things. So there's one for sleeping, there's one for waking up, there's one for energy, creativity, relaxation. There's a bunch of them. And you can go in, you can pick which one you want. And even within each category, there's a bunch of different frequencies. And you can listen to them for whatever you're looking for, waking up, wanting more ideas, get the creativity juices flowing. And I actually started listening to it for waking up because lately, especially with my allergies, it's been hard for me to wake up. I'm really tired in the morning. So I started listening to the wake up one as soon as I wake up, and man, it just lights me. And I'm like, all right, I can get up and get going. And it really works. So even for talking about, what we're talking about was getting into theta state. If you do the relaxation frequencies when you're listening to your affirmations, that will help too. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's awesome.
And we can share that in our Facebook group too,
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the members there. And another thing that I'm going to be sharing in the group is a specific meditation technique that's called Descent to Zero, that I've used in about 5 spiritual classes now that I'm taking in virtual reality, which sounds hilarious, but I do very much enjoy meditation there and the workshops. And the teacher there, Ignacio, he's the founder of the Human Spiritual Evolution Company. And he has the Descent to Zero meditation actually available on Insight Timer, which is like a meditation app. So it's like a 17-minute, maybe recorded guided meditation that'll actually bring you down to that state. Kind of brings you down through a couple of different levels, and I've done it a few times now. It's extremely effective. But then when you get to that state, that like little confusion state, I like to think it's like, wait a second, am I asleep? Am I awake? I'm not even quite sure right now. Um, and then that's where we can really start with, affirmations, mantras, those types of things, which are helpful when you're talking about reframing things or looking to affirm certain things or manifest certain things. So I will share that in the group as well.
Thank you. That sounds really cool. So I want to just give some quick tips for what you can do like with your kids. One we talked about already with reframing, which is phenomenal. And of course, you can use that with kids, adults, anyone. Um, I've been reading a book with my students that has changed. I don't remember if I've mentioned this before or not on this podcast, but this book is called The Law of Attraction for Kids. It's by, what's her name? Jennifer Quagan. I got it on Amazon and it has been amazing. It goes over the law of attraction, the first 2 chapters, and then each chapter thereafter is a different group of affirmations. So there's like school affirmations or being responsible, friends. The list goes on. There are so many. They're phenomenal. And we've just been doing the school one because we're in school. So every single day before I start class, we read the affirmations. I read them, the kids repeat, and they love it. And it's been life changing in our classroom. And I know I've had a lot of parents of my kids reach out to me and tell me that they bought the book. Quite a few people in our Facebook group have reached out to me and said that they've bought the book and they're doing it at home with their kids. Eileen's one of them. So she can talk about how she's seen, what she's seeing with her own kids. But it's been such such a cool transformation to see them. The energy in our classroom is just so different. They're excited about everything. I actually I think it was Thursday, my kids, and this has never happened before, but we wash hands before lunch, and we have sinks in our classroom so they don't have to leave or anything. So I call them, as they were working on this assignment with each other, and I call them, go wash their hands, and they were rushing to wash their hands. Usually it's that slow, like, yeah, I'm going to use this for like 5 minutes to get out of something, but they could not wash their hands fast enough. And it's like they're just so excited. Every day I see more and more excitement from them to just get back into their learning. It's just been so transformational just from affirmations. So Eileen, what have you noticed with your kids?
I haven't used it at school yet because we've been in state testing um, for like ever. But I have been using it at home, and you just see like a mood change, and it feels good. And I really do enjoy the book, and I have a note to myself in my planner for school um, to either try it for the remainder of this year because we should be finished the middle of this week, state testing, and our schedule will go back to normal. Um, and so I won't get the full amount of days like that they say to work on it for, but I am probably still going to at least use it for the time that we do have because I can always share it like you did with families. But I have like a huge note in my planner that I definitely want to start right from the beginning of the school year because that's a time where you're establishing community with your classroom and you're establishing routines, and I think it will fit really nicely in with the things that we do at the beginning of the year, and setting your classroom up in that fashion right from the start. And so I'm excited to do that. Definitely excited to do that.
So it's like listening to you guys is like just so exciting. Just to hear like the changes in your classroom, Jillian, like you say, to have the kids from like a calm, tight mood or like, dragging their feet to like energy and high and happy. And it's just such a light feeling. And I think that you bringing that into the classrooms, like you don't understand how much that warms my heart. It's so beautiful. And this is the thing though. Now these kids are going to move on to the next class. And then you don't go with them. Like this stuff is so important. We need to get it into schools. I just, I can't even stress enough how important this stuff is to be in the school curriculum. Because I mean, just these testimonials, even just what you guys have told me, that the changes that have happened in your classrooms within just the last few months, your kids are so blessed to have you. And the goal is we got to get it in there so everybody gets this, all our children.
Yes. Yeah, that is my mission. I know I said this earlier, we're not focusing on goals today, but my C-type goal, which we'll talk about in another episode, what the difference between the different types of goals are. But your C-type goal is a fantasy goal that you don't know how you're going to achieve. And my C-type goal is to change the education system. And right now I'm focused on America because that's where I live, but I would love for that to expand into Canada and the rest of the world. Um, yeah, and yeah, so I 100% agree with you. This material needs to be in every single person's life, and it starts with the little ones. Yeah.
I agree. Something else that I just have kind of started to um, dabble with a little bit um, is finding ways to make, like last week, gratitude. Sorry, I hit my watch on the table. Um, Gratitude and affirmations, like making them easy to use and easy to remember, um, and just like part of their life. Do you know what I mean? So last night I actually like wrote a kid's song, and that's for anyone who knows me, that is totally not me. But I was really excited to just try and find a way for like kids to use affirmations. Like, how are they going to be able to remember? Like for me, I have a list of ways that I'll share in a little bit, like a list of ways that I get myself there, that I write them, read them, where I put them, when I do them. Um, but like for kids, especially young kids like we have, being able to get them to remember them. And so like I just did it to a very, very well known like kids song beat. Um, and then just like placed the affirmations into them. And I literally just did this last night, and I was telling my own two kids about it this morning. They're 8 and 11. And we had to drive like an hour and a half to see someone for the holiday. And then we had to drive an hour and a half back. So our like ride out there, we were talking about it. And on the whole ride back, it was just this song playing over and over again in each of our heads. And then it would like, it was going, and then it would stop, and then it'd be like one of us would start humming it, and then the affirmations would come out, and then it would stop, and then it would start. The whole hour and a half home, and I was like, I think they all know it. And it just was today. It was just like in the car, but it was funny. So I think that things like that even um, might make it, easier for kids um, to kind of get that going, kind of a thing.
That's
Right,
so
because
cool.
again, it's a mood, right? So mood helps.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I know for me, and this is just me, so I can't imagine when you're like a little kid with a lot less like, you know, adult thoughts that are constantly worries going in your mind. But like when I'm doing the dishes, I turn on the music, and like Jillian, you said you'll get yours in the shower. I most of the time get mine while I'm doing the dishes. Like, it takes me forever to get my dishes done because when I get something, I'm gonna stop and write it down. Oh my gosh. And yeah, sometimes it can take me a good hour and a half just to get through the dishes. Cause like I keep stopping and then I'll start writing. And then once you start writing it, your juices get going and you keep going, and then you're like, okay, put it away. And then you get going, and then oh, another thought comes in my head. But that's how it happens, right? When you're in uh high energy, high vibration, like that's when the ideas come. You got to take those ideas. Like one great thing, guys, that I think everybody should do is write stuff down. So keep a journal. Keep it, write stuff down when things come to you. And then also you can also write in that journal, like when you're having your negative thoughts, right? Like when the negative thoughts, because now you're going to start becoming aware. If you're actually thinking I'm going to write stuff down, you're going to keep paying attention more to what's coming. And then you'll notice the negative self-talk so much more. So you'll catch yourself, and you right there, write down the positive to it. Like when like it's just like, oh, I'm so stupid. I always do that. Oh, I just caught myself. I'm not stupid. I probably keep doing that because I keep telling myself I'm stupid. So I'm going to just say, like, oh, you realize you did that. And I don't know what it could be. Like, you trip all the time. Like that, I fall all the time. Right. Well, why do you think I fall all the time? Because I tell everybody I fall all the time. I just did it. See, I just was aware what I did. I'm going to go write that down. So one of my affirmations now is going to be like, I walk smoothly every time I go for a walk, or I'm not sure how I'm going to frame it, but I'm going to frame that positive. And now I know that's an affirmation I probably need for myself. Right. And that's another thing, is figuring out what affirmations you need. So you have to pay attention to the way you talk to yourself, reframe it, say a positive, and then put into practice, like what Jillian and Eileen are talking about, like what just take a couple at a time and use it when you're going to sleep, or when you're doing the things, like your repetitive things during the day, brushing your teeth, getting ready for work, doing your hair, whatever it is, shaving, just those are the times to just kind of keep repeating what you're trying to reframe. Those are just some tips that I have found help me figure out what to affirm to myself.
Yeah, I love that. I love the practical application, like giving a real example is helpful to hear. And Eileen, what were you said you have your own practice. What do you do?
Yeah, I have. I do write them. I write them down. I haven't been writing them down daily, like you mentioned, Jillian. So I'm thinking that might be something that I give a try. But I would like create a long list of affirmations. And I know this isn't the same thing that everyone does, but I would write like a long list, might be like 10 things, 10 affirmations. Um, and then I would place them like underneath my pillow, and then I like pull them out, put it back in, pull them out, put it back in. Um, and I would usually focus on maybe 3 of them a little bit more deeply than the others. And those would be the ones that I kind of like say to myself periodically throughout the day. I don't do a timer for my affirmations like you mentioned, Jillian. That's actually a good idea. I do have a timer that goes off every 9 minutes to make 90 minutes, not 9. Every 90 minutes to make sure that I'm consciously breathing. So I do have that timer that goes off already, but I haven't thought to do that with affirmations. So I kind of keep it under my pillow. I go back to it every now and then. The one that I had, the list of like 10 that I had, um, probably has been a few months. And that those same, it's about 3 or 4, I think, actually, this last time, that I would repeat every day. Um, I think we might have mentioned this last time. They're already happening. Do you know what I mean? Like they're already there. And so I actually just created 2 days ago, I created my new like list of like, yeah, it's 9. Um, and then just deciding throughout today, I've been thinking, okay, what are the ones that I really want to like hone in on? And because I'm not going to repeat all 9 of these multiple times a day. And so there's about 2 or 3 of them that I feel like I've already kind of have um, set in a way that I can repeat them multiple times throughout the day from memory. And so those are the ones that I'll be focusing on. But what I've done in the past has just kind of been like, check them off, kind of thing. And then it's like, what am I focusing on now? But another thing that I have done is some healing affirmations that I'm going to share in our Facebook group. I think I actually have already shared the link to the YouTube channel before, but I'll comment on that or something to kind of bring it back up into the feed. So there's I think they're based in Australia, but it's like a team of 2 um, guys who they create these affirmation um, feeds. It's like a audio feed, and it just kind of repeats that are affirmations, but they're based on different diseases and illnesses and complaints, and they help with healing. So that's something that my family and I have used over the last couple of years. We don't really need them much anymore. But I feel like that is probably everything that I can think of at the moment. I believe most of the other things we've already talked about.
That's pretty powerful, hey, that you can heal yourself through affirmations. Yeah, I'm really excited to check that out on the Facebook page. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
I love that you touched on how you know when you're ready to move on, because affirmations are not something that you're going to have to stick to the same ones forever. The goal is that once they become automatic, once you find that your natural subconscious thought is whatever you're trying to affirm, then you know it's time to move on to something else. So, once you start driving completely without, having, any anxiety or anything, then you'll know it's time to move on. Once my
Right.
house is completely clean all the time, I know I can move on to something else. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind as well and to be mindful of and to kind of just check in every now and then. How am I doing towards this?
Yeah, because I think what happens is, or at least what's happened for me, is after a while when you are already, so my former, not now, but my former affirmation that like I kind of did um, periodically throughout the day, every single day, was I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe, I am at peace, I have abundance flowing to me. Over like, and just it was over and over again all the time. throughout the day. And what I found after a while is like maybe one of those things was like, why am I saying that? Like, I'm already that. Like, what? Or like, there came a time where like all of it, even I was like, what could I add to this? Or do you know what I mean? And then it was like, no, like, it's time to start over kind of a thing. But so it's not hard. It's just a matter of getting into a practice, like even with gratitude we talked about, meditation, mindfulness, all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a practice.
It's another thing too, is you can think at the end of each day too, is I'm very grateful for, I am very grateful now that I am very well aware of my negative self-talk, and I am very grateful for learning new ways to talk to myself in a positive way. So if you can repeat that as well, it's kind of an affirmation, but it's also you giving gratitude to yourself and to the universe, because technically that's what we all are, right? We're all energy. We flow off energy. We're just the body that holds the energy. And if you're being grateful and you're thanking yourself, you're thanking the universe for you becoming more aware of the way you speak to yourself, and thank you for knowing I'm grateful that more positive thoughts and self-talk is coming through me, those will also lock in your subconscious. If you're going to sleep and you want to do that in that state, thank yourself for being more open to being aware. Thank yourself, look, reflect on your day. And like we said, because you're going to start being more aware, thank yourself for when you caught it throughout the day. And thank yourself for thinking of the way you reframed it. Because, gratitude again brings you to a higher vibration, which makes you feel good. And when we feel good, we do better. We feel good, we do good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all really just ties in together.
Yeah.
I think that's why we decided, right? We wanted to do affirmations right after gratitude, because they really do tie in together. Once you start being more grateful, you start seeing more positive, you start talking more positive, feeling more positive, and your whole world can change.
Yeah, I would love to hear from any of our audience members who, start implementing um, being grateful and gratitude practices and affirmation practices. If anyone wants to share in our Facebook group how this has impacted your life, or examples, or even if you have questions, we want to hear from you and see how you're doing, and how else we can help and support you. Our group is called Mindset Teaching Outside the Box. So, check it out and share. We want to hear your wins.
Yeah, please share. That's exciting for us to have the communication with you guys. So if we're doing something that's helping you out or giving you new tips, you're putting them into practice, please let us know.
So
And one more thing that I think we touched on it, but just to make sure people are aware of, when you start a new affirmation, it's the opposite of what you believe about yourself or a situation in the moment. So it's going to feel funny and it's going to sound weird, and you're going to say, what? What? It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. And that is completely normal. But you will find that if you continuously say the affirmations, you apply emotion to it, as Lisa mentioned, you'll find that pretty quickly you're going to start feeling like, okay, this could actually happen. And that complete weird, funny feeling will start to dissolve.
100%.
I agree.
So do you ladies have any last remarks before we wrap it up? No, feeling good? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. Again, please feel free to join our Facebook group. We've got a lot going on in there. We have an event that we're going to be sharing here soon coming up. So if you'd like information about what that is, we will share it on our podcast here. But check out our Facebook group because it'll probably be posted there sooner than our next episode will be released. So check it out. We got good stuff going on. So we will see everyone next week and keep those affirmations going. Bye everyone.
Bye.